गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम ब्रायोफाइटा की क्लास एंथोसिराटॉप्सिडा के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। अभी तक हमने ब्रायोफाइट्स की जनरल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, क्लासिफिकेशन डिस्कस कर चुके हैं और ये लेक्चर M.Sc सेम 1 स्टूडेंट्स के लिए है। As you all very well know, the group Bryophyta has been divided into 3 classes: the Hepaticopsida, the Anthoceratopsida, and the Brapsida. The most primitive class is the Hepaticopsida, and the most advanced class among the Bryophytes is the Brapsida. Students, ये जो Anthoceratopsida है ये प्लेस्ड है इन बिटवीन द Hepaticopsida एंड द Brapsida. तो इसकी जो सिस्टमेटिक पोजीशन है ये Hepaticopsida और Brapsida के बीच में है और ये क्लास हम कह सकते हैं कि इट इज़ अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्लास वेयर द group has a simple as well as advanced feature. एंथोसिरोटॉप्सिडा के मेंबर्स जो कि केवल 2 जेनरा से रिप्रेजेंट होते हैं, एक तो एंथोसिरोस और एक नोटोथैलस। तो इसके जो मेंबर्स हैं इनका जो गमीटोफाइट है, जैसे कि आपको मालूम है द डोमिनेंट जनरेशन इन द ब्रायोफाइट्स इज द गमीटोफिटिक जनरेशन and the sporophytic generation is partially dependent upon the gametophytic generation. तो ये जो ग्रुप है एंथोसिरोटॉप्सिडा, इसका जो गमीटोफाइट है वो बहुत सिंपल है। दूसरी तरफ इसका जो स्पोरोफाइट है वो बहुत एडवांस्ड है, टू द एक्सटेंट इट इज़ मोर एडवांस्ड देन द मेंबर्स ऑफ द ब्रैप्सिडा. सो वी कैन से that the anthocerotales shows a remarkable association of simple gametophyte with a highly organized sporophyte. Now, what are the characteristics of the gametophyte which show very simple? As I said कि इसका जो gametophyte है बहुत simple है. तो किस तरह से ये simple है? इसका जो structure है वो resemble करता है the first class Hepaticopsida के members से, जिसमें हम देखते हैं कि प्लांट बॉडी इज अ थैलस लाइक एंड द थैलस इज विदाउट एनी डिस्टिंक्ट मिडरिब. ऑन द वेंट्रल सरफेस ऑफ द थैलस ओनली स्मूथ वॉल्ड राइजॉइड्स आर प्रेजेंट एंड द ट्यूबरकुलेट राइजॉइड्स एंड स्केल्स आर एब्सेंट. द इंटरनल structure of the thallus does not show any differentiation of the tissues, and thallus has absence of air spores and air chambers. Each cell of the thallus has a single discoid chloroplast. तो इसका जो गमीटोफाइट है ये रिजेंबल कर रहा है हिपैटिकॉप्सिडा के मेंबर्स से. इसमें द थैलस में अगेन नॉस्टर कॉलोनीज प्रेजेंट होती हैं जो कि शो अ symbiotic nature. Sex organs are simply embedded within the thallus. तो इसका जो गमीटोफाइट है वो रिजेंबल कर रहा है हिपैटिकॉप्सिडा के मेंबर्स से, ग्रुप एंथोसिरोटॉप्सिडा का. इसके जो एडवांस्ड स्पोरोफाइट है, द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स विच शो एडवांस्ड नेचर ऑफ द स्पोरोफाइट इन्वॉल्व द स्पोरोगोनियम विच कंसिस्ट ऑफ अ bulbous foot which is buried in the gametophytic tissue and an long cylindrical capsule. The capsule grows up continuously with the help of an intercalary meristem. So ये जो intercalary meristem है आपने हिपैटिकॉप्सिडा मेंबर में देखा था. द स्पोरोफाइट जो है वो डिफ्रेंशिएट होता है इनटू फुट, सीटा एंड कैप्सूल. तो एंथोसिरोटॉप्सिडा के मेंबर्स में बल्बस फुट होता है सीटा रिप्लेस होता है बाय अ ग्रुप ऑफ मेरिस्टेमेटिक सेल्स, और these cells are responsible for the longevity of the sporophyte या the or sporogonium. The wall of the capsule is multilayered, which consists of photosynthetic cells with intercellular spaces. Outermost layer of the capsule has a distinct epidermal layer having stomata. The archegonium which gives rise to the spores and elaters arise from the inner layer of the amphithecium. हमने हेपेटिक ऑप्सिटा के मेंबर्स में देखा था, ये जो आर्ची गोनियम है वो अराइज होता है फ्रॉम द एंडोथीशियम. हियर द स्पोर्स एंड द इलेटर्स आर arising from the endothecium. The archegonium, which gives rise to the spores and elaters, they develop from the small portion of the sporogonium. The spore mother cells alternate with the sterile cells. So these are the structures which show that the group of genera, that is the Anthoceros and Notothylas, they are having a simple gametophyte and an advanced sporophyte. The systematic position of Notothylas is as such. It belongs to the group Bryophyta, class Anthocerotopsida, order Anthocerotales, family Notothylaceae, and genus Notothylas. Now, before discussing the genus Notothylas, let me tell you about the characteristics of features which show affinities with other groups of bryophytes. अभी हमने देखा इसका सिंपल गमीटोफाइट और एडवांस्ड स्पोरोफाइट एंथोसिरोटेल्स के मेंबर्स का या ग्रुप का. तो what are the features which are common with the members of the Hepaticopsida? As I have discussed earlier, the plant body is thallus-like and the unicellular rhizoids are present and the tuberculate rhizoids and scales are absent. The thallus exhibits apical growth and the structure of the mature sex organs is very much similar, and the embedded position of the sex organs in the gametophytic tissue is similar to that of Rixiaceae, family Rixiaceae of Hepaticopsida. The antherozoids are biciliated. The amphithecium and endothecium are separated by the formation of periclinal walls. And in the sporophyte, the archisporium gives rise to spores and sterile cells. Now, what are the features which are common with the Bryopsida or the Massae? The family Sphagnaceae, which is the primitive family of the Bryopsida, show features which are common with that of the Anthocerotales. What are the features? The developmental stages of the embryo, they resemble closely, and the archisporium is formed from the inner layer of the amphithecium, except in some species of Notothylas. The columella arises fully from the endothecium. So the amphithecium gives rise to the sporogenous tissue, and the columella or the sterile cells arise from the endothecium. Now the features which show affinity with other group of plants, जो एंथोसिरोटेल्स हैं ये एफिनिटी शो करते हैं विद अदर ग्रुप ऑफ प्लांट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल एल्गी से ये कॉमन फीचर्स होता है इनका द ब्रांचिंग एंड द आउटलाइन ऑफ द थैलस, और Each cell of the thallus consists of a single chloroplast having a pyrenoid. Antherozoids are biciliated. Now, some of the features which are common with the or show affinity with the pteridophytes are: the vegetative structure of thallus is similar to the prothallus of some of the pteridophytes like equisetum and ferns, and the sex organs are embedded in the gametophyte, and the mature archegonia are basically similar in structure. The sporogonia are highly developed and are having the photosynthetic tissue. The growth of the sporogonium continues for several months and may reach a several length of height. So we can say that the group Anthocerotales is a distinct and synthetic group of plants. It is a complex genus having a simple gametophyte and a highly advanced sporophyte. Now we directly come to the genera which is prescribed in your syllabus, which is the नोटोथैलस. सिस्टमेटिक पोजीशन आप देख रहे हैं, एंथोसिरोटॉप्सिडा का मेंबर है नोटोथैलस. ऑर्डर एंथोसिरोटेल्स है, फैमिली इसकी नोटोथैलेसी है और जीनस नोटोथैलस. ये डायग्राम आपको एक्सटर्नल फीचर्स या एक्सटर्नल मॉर्फोलॉजी शो कर रहा है नोटोथैलस की. इससे पहले ये नोटोथैलस कहाँ पर मिलता है? डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड हैबिटेट. द जीनस नोटोथैलस इज रिप्रेजेंटेड by about the 12 species which are cosmopolitan, and in India it is represented by 5 species, namely the Notothalus levieri, Notothalus indica, Notothalus chaudhrii, Notothalus javanicus, and Notothalus pendii. The more common species are the Notothalus levieri and indica. The genus has been reported from places like Mussoorie, Nainital, Dalhousie in India, Mount Abu, and a few species of Notothalus have also been collected from Rajasthan, Ajmer, and the plants habitat wise they grow on moist shady places, on soils, rocks, walls and floors of the old building. So they have a habitat wise they prefer a marshy habitat. इसके जो एक्सटर्नल फीचर्स हैं, द प्लांट बॉडी इज थैलस लाइक, delicate and prostrate. It is bluish green in structure, or in some species it may be yellowish green, and we can see dark round areas of nostoc colonies inside on the dorsal surface of the thallus, and on the ventral surface of the thallus we can see only smooth walled rhizoids. As I have said, the tuberculated rhizoids and scales are absent from this genus, and the smooth walled rhizoids they have a function to fix the plants to the substratum. So this is the external morphology, thallus like plant body, and having the sporogonium, thallus, and on the ventral side only the smooth walled rhizoids are present. Now we come to the internal structure of the genus Notothalus, and internally the thallus is very little differentiated and all the cells are same, and the cells of the epidermis are comparatively smaller. The upper epidermal and underlying cells contain a single large chloroplast with each cell having a pyrenoid like that of anthoceros. And the rhizoids, they arise from the lower epidermis. The mucilage cavities containing nostoc are frequently found in the thallus. So this is the internal structure of the thallus, having an upper epidermis and a lower epidermis. Incavated the nostoc algae in the mucilage cavity, and the rhizoids having only the smooth walled rhizoids. Now, what is the reproduction which is common in the group Anthocerotopsida? It is having the both vegetative reproduction and the sexual reproduction. NOTOTHYLAS reproduces vegetative by means of the tubers which are covered with dense rhizoids. They remain buried in the soil, and each rhizoid is capable of producing a new thallus with the advent of the favorable conditions. Now, sexual reproduction. The genus NOTOTHYLAS may be monoecious or it may be dioecious. Monoecious, when both the sex organs are present in the same thallus, and dioecious, when the sex organs are represented in two distinct thallus. The antheridia. This is the diagram of the antheridium. You can see the antheridia are formed near the apex of the lobe and develop endogenously, which is common to that of the anthoceros, and there may be 3 or 4 antheridia in each chamber. The development pattern is similar to that of anthoceros. So anthoceros का जो development है एंथ्रीडियम का, वो रिजेंबल कर नोटोथैलस से रिजेंबल कर रहा है, एंड द 2 or 3 antheridia are found in the antheridial chamber. Now, the archegonium, it arises from the apical cells of the lobe near the margin, and again the course of development or the development of the archegonium is similar to that of anthoceros. So बेसिकली मैंने जो डेवलपमेंट आपको बताया है इन जनरल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द ब्रायोफाइट्स में, द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द एंथ्रीडियम एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द आर्कीगोनियम, इट इज़ basically similar in all the groups with a slight difference in each member. So the development of archegonium is a flush-shaped structure having a swollen venter and an elongated neck, and the neck has the cover cell, the neck canal cells, and the venter has the venter canal cell and the egg. Now we come to the sporophyte or the sporophytic generation of the NOTOTHYLAS. The sporophyte, after fertilization, the zygote after fertilization gives rise to the embryo, and the embryo further divides into the sporophyte. If you see the structure of the mature sporophyte or the sporogonium, the figure A and B, A is the young sporogonium and B is the mature sporogonium of NOTOTHYLAS. So the structure of this sporogonium, it develops horizontally along the margin of the thallus between the lobes, and it is 2 to 3 mm long and tapers at both the ends. It consists of a triangular foot, a meristematic zone, and a cylindrical capsule. The capsule wall is 4 cell thick, and there is no stomata in the wall, which are present in the anthoceros, but in NOTOTHYLAS, the capsule wall does not have stomata. A row of much thick-walled cells run the entire length of the capsule and meet at the apex. The spores are black due to dark pigments, and the entire capsule remains completely enclosed inside the membranous involucre. The capsule is enclosed within the involucre. So this is the structure of this sporogonium. The spores are present, elaters, and the capsule wall, and finally the sporogonium is having the involucre, and it is having the bulbous foot and an intermediate meristematic zone, which is responsible for the continuous division of the archisporial tissue. You can see in the same capsule, all the stages of the development of the archisporial tissues are present. Clear? So now, what is the development of the stages of development of the sporophyte? Now, please refer to these figures. This is the NOTOTHYLAS indica, which is representing the various stages in the development of the sporogonium. After fertilization, the zygote enlarges in size and covers the entire space of venter. The cells of the upper tier divide by a transverse wall and form a three-tiered embryo, of which the uppermost tier contributes to the capsule and the meristematic zone, but the lowermost tier forms the foot only. A periclinal division occurs in the uppermost tier to give rise to an outer amphitheecium and an inner endothecium. Now the archisporium tissue gives rise to the spores and elaters, and the whole endothecium develops into the columella. The spore mother cells divide meiotically to form the haploid spores, and in early stages of development, the cells of the capsule wall contain a single chloroplast and pyrenoid body. On maturity, the chloroplast and pyrenoids are replaced by dark brown pigments. The dehiscence of how these spores come out. The capsule splits open with the hygroscopic elaters, and the capsule dehisces by 2 or 4 valves, and the spores they come out, and the spores they represent the first cell generation of the gametophytic, and the spore wall consists of the 2 layers, a thick exine and a thin entine, and the spores germinate to form the exine ruptures and several pieces and remains attached to the intine, and the intine does not form a germ tube, but the whole spore content divides by a transverse wall or vertical wall, and the further division ultimately gives rise to the new thallus of the NOTOTHYLAS. And the rhizoids they arise quite late and are not separated by septum, a feature which is different from that of the anthoceros. So these are the stages of development of the sporophyte. The zygote, transverse division, then vertical division, and the upper tier gives rise to the amphitheecium, outer amphitheecium and inner endothecium. The amphitheecium gives rise to the outer wall and the inner wall, and the inner wall gives rise to the archisporial tissue, which develops into the spores and the pseudo-elaters. Now, what is the biological significance of the group Anthocerotales? This group is having a great biological significance. We have studied that it has the most simplified gametophyte, and on the other hand, a highly elaborated and advanced sporophyte. The sporophyte which shows evolutionary tendencies in the line of biological process. So, coming to the sporophyte, हम कह सकते हैं कि ये एफिनिटी शो कर रहा है, और बायोलॉजिकल सिग्निफिकेंस इसका ये है कि ये जो ग्रुप है ये फिजियोलॉजिकल इंडिपेंडेंस शो करता है. द स्पोरोगोनियम इसका देखते हैं, इट हैज़ complex photosynthetic systems with functional stomata. It has a continuous intercalary growth due to the presence of intercalary meristematic zone, and due to which the sporophyte has a continuous growth of the sporophyte. It begins the beginning of the such characters in the sporophyte. Conducting region, the presence of well-developed columella, a central sterile portion which develops from the central endothecium, suggests the beginning of the formation of conducting region. तो जो conducting tissue है columella, तो ये beginning suggest करता है characteristics of the higher members. Now, the increased amount of sterile tissue. Coming to this, the major portion of the group Sporogonium consists of the sterile tissues such as foot, capsule wall, columella and pseudoelaters. And the increased amount of sterile tissue therefore suggests the beginning of formation of sporophytic plant as in higher plants. Now, the outward shifting of sporogenous tissue. We had seen that the group of Anthocerotopsida, the entire endothecium is converted into the sterile columella, whereas in the members of Hepaticopsida we have seen the endothecium gives rise to the sporogenous tissue, whereas in the Anthocerotopsida the spores are formed from the amphithecium, which represent the initial stage of formation of superficial sporangia. So, the sporogenous tissue is shifted from the endothecium to the amphithecium, and there is reduction in the sporogenous tissue. The amount of sporogenous tissue is reduced, and which is considered as an advanced character which is present in the higher plants. Thus, the reduction in the sporogenous tissue suggests the initial stage to produce limited number of spores. Now, tendency towards formation of sporangia. The alternate arrangement of spore mother cells and sterile cells in the sporogonium suggests the beginning of the formation of sporangia. So, these are some of the characteristics by which we can say the group Anthocerotopsida has a biological significance, and it is a synthetic group or a complex group having characteristics of a simple gametophyte and a highly advanced sporophyte. So, students, the development, you should be knowing the characteristics of Anthoceros as well. Basically दोनों similar हैं, Anthoceros and NOTOTHYLAS, क्योंकि आपके सिलेबस में NOTOTHYLAS प्रिस्क्राइब्ड है, लेकिन Anthoceros को भी you should be knowing the characteristics of the genus Anthoceros as well. So this is all for now. Thank you.